So hello, beautiful people out there. Who do we have on here? Moni and Robin. How are y'all doing? Much love to you as well, Moni. I am Demetra K, and I am sitting here with Donovan, the recovering Democrat Sadiq, and this is the Demetra K Show, where we promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in a. Oops, hold on a second. That I always forget to do that. Okay, let me turn that off too. Oops. Let me start over. This is the Demetra K Show, where we promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people, with the emphasis on even, because we are a great people, but we can always strive to do better. I'd like to also say a big giant thank you to YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. You are the other side of the conversation, where you do not just sit in the comment section. We now have provided a link when we say click on the link and come on and voice your opinion about whatever it is we are talking about, or if you want to bring up something new. Of course, we are open to that as well, but pay attention when I say click the link, because then it'll be time to speak. Also, who else? I like to say thank you to Marcus Guyton for everything he does behind the scenes on Facebook to make the show go further. Hello, Tawana. How are you? Today, we are going to be talking about that of Tyre Nichols out of Memphis, Tennessee, a Black man who was essentially murdered. And I'm going to say allegedly because, got away for everything to come out by 5 police officers. And by now you guys have seen the pictures of the police officers. Typically when that happens to us, the police officers are of the mayonnaise persuasion, right? But as you can see, those 5 police officers are what we would call brothers, although I don't think a brother would do that to you. So let's just call them Black officers for now. So we're going to get into that and the dynamics of Black police officers using playbooks out of the white supremacist playbook. So Donovan, what say you before we get started?
Hey, you guys, welcome back to the Demetra K Show. And I say welcome back because you guys are dedicated co-hosts that come to work on time. We really do appreciate it. Do us a favor, hit that like, share, subscribe button, and even become a member if you so do desire. A lot of great topic. This is a great topic that we're talking about. Demetra, also become a member. If you become a member, when Demetra drops great videos during the week with other platforms, you will be the first to be informed and get that information, because she does drop great information. And we also have Cash App, PayPal, PO boxes, and all that other stuff. If you want to write checks or whatever, even though checks is kind of. But anyway, it's going to be a great topic, you guys. We can't wait to hear some of you guys' ideas. And my man Michael Pan will be tuning in later on in the show. So we can't wait for him to show up as well. So let's get into the topic. Let's roll.
Yes, indeed. And Brother Reggie, how you doing? And Window, what's going on? And let me see if I can say this right. S Sleek. I hope I said that right. If I didn't, please forgive me. Hey to you as well. All right. So for the sake of time, let's go ahead and get into it. Add this to the stream. So this here is a picture of Tyre Nichols, who unfortunately is no longer with us. He was 29 years old. And on I guess it was the day of, I'm not sure if it was the nighttime, although I think that it was, of January 7th, he was pulled over by police officers. Sound like he ran for whatever reason. And then when they caught up to him, hello, Big Rich and Tisha, when they caught up to him, they then called the ambulance, saying that he complained of being short of breath and some other issues. There's another photo of Tyre that I will not show you because it's pretty graphic, of him in the hospital bed. He's got tubes going all over. He's got blood, like coming from his mouth. His neck is, almost look like somebody put something around his neck. So he was in a pretty bad way. And so 3 days after that stop, he did end up passing away. Now, after 2 weeks of people of Memphis and a whole lot of the people saying, hey, what's going on here? Like, this man didn't just oops and fall and all of that happened to him. His family said that his kidneys were messed up to where they had him on dialysis, he had brain swelling and a whole bunch of other things, which to me sounds like he was, beat to death. Let's just call it what it is. So 2 weeks later, the Memphis Police Department decided to, show who did this, because at first they weren't. They kept saying, oh, we're investigating, but the cries got louder and louder, like, okay, what's going on here, right? What happened to him? And These are the officers that were at that stop, right? They are saying they are responsible for what happened to Mr. Nichols. In fact, they were fired and charged within the department, but they were not criminally charged. Now, those officers' names are, says from left, Justin Smith, Emmett Martin III, Desmond Mills Jr., Demetrius Haley, and on the bottom we have Tadaris Bean, and I think I missed one. Did I miss one? I might have missed one. The name is not here anyway, but as y'all can see, there's a fifth officer there. And again, they being a police department, they're saying that the family should have the body cam as early as Monday, and the family could look at it and see what happened. Now, per what Tyre Nichols looked like, I think we can kind of ascertain that it wasn't just a regular stop, even a stop where somebody was resisting. The way that brother looked in that hospital bed, they definitely handled him in a way that they should not have. Now, there was a statement put out by that of the Memphis Police Department, and it says the Memphis Police Department has conducted its administrative investigation into the tragic death of Mr. Tyre Nichols. After a thorough review of the circumstances surrounding the incident, we have determined that 5 Memphis Police Department officers violated multiple department policies, including excessive use of force, duty to intervene, and duty to render aid. Earlier today, each officer charged was terminated with Memphis Police Department. The Memphis Police Department is committed to protecting and defending the rights of every citizen in our city. The egregious nature of this incident is not a reflection of the good work that our officers perform with integrity every day. And then they put the officer's name down there with their hire date. So don't even look like they were there. They said, from what I understand, like 2.5 years, combined is, the oldest officer in this list. So they, I guess, were fairly new as far as a police officer is concerned. And so they say that they perform with integrity every day and duty to protect and serve. And it's like, well, why didn't those officers get the memo? Why didn't they get the memo that it was their duty to defend and protect and act in integrity? Well, the other thing is, because, as I said, usually we see white police officers in that capacity doing that to Black people. It's not rare. It's as American as apple pie, right? But occasionally we'll hear about Black officers doing it, although I think this is really egregious to see 5 Black officers do that to a Black man. And as they were charged with a duty to intervene, not one of them said, hey, wait a minute, we Black, he Black, this is wrong. Nobody thought that was wrong, what they were doing to him. And so what we are also seeing is, these Black police officers that are springing up here and there, they are taking a play out of the white supremacist playbook and how they deal with Black people. And some people might say, well, he shouldn't have ran or whatever. Yeah, he shouldn't have. But even that he did run, didn't sound like he had a weapon or anything like that. That doesn't mean a person should be beat to death, right? What happens with white people when they are stopped, and even when they get all froggy and act all stupid, we never see them get handled in the way that Black people get handled. And Tyre, I should say, was a California native. He had just moved to Memphis, Tennessee a year before. They said he was an avid skateboarder and things like that. And so he was not unhealthy to where they're saying, oh, you complained the shortness of breath, like it was something that he was experiencing. Kind of like the whole George Floyd thing. Y'all remember when they said, oh, he died of the drugs and enlarged heart and all of that, negating what Derek Chauvin did to him. And so they unfortunately thought that they can get away with that we'll just bring this man to the hospital, and again, if y'all saw the picture, y'all know what I'm talking about, so I can't show it to you, but we'll bring this man to the hospital in this condition and say, oh, it was something that happened to him and we don't know what happened to him. And rightfully, but they got away with that for 2 weeks until the pressure was on. And then finally the Memphis Police Department was like, okay, and it sounds like now Benjamin Crump, I think, is involved as the family's lawyer and things like that. So now all this attention is going on. And of course, the feds there in Memphis and the FBI, they're looking into seeing if, now this is stupid, if his civil rights were violated. It's like, yeah, he's dead. They probably were violated, you know. So again, the family is going to get the video cam, the body cams tomorrow to see exactly what happened to their loved one. But it's crazy. So anyway, I'm gonna get to the comments. But Donovan, what say you?
Well, here we go again. As we've been saying on this platform and a lot of other pro-Black platforms in the new Black media, Black cops are not Black anymore. Once they put on that badge and that uniform, they are now blue. That is a fact. Also, we also know, and I put it in the comments, show me an investigation where you're investigating yourself and you expect a bad outcome, right? But in this situation, since it was Black officers that are involved, and this is not an uncommon thing. In Atlanta, I believe a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, 5 officers in Atlanta were charged with assault against college students. How many of you guys remember that? 5 officers were charged. And I believe at the time, the police commandant was resigned. She resigned, and I think she moved to Kentucky or something like that, got a job in Kentucky. So this is not uncommon. The great prophet Ice Cube said, Black police showing out for the white cops. That's what they do. He wouldn't have put that verse in the rhyme if it isn't something that goes on all the time. And as us as Black people, we know that that does happen at all times. Also, did you guys notice that when Black officers are involved in impropriety against their bosses, us the citizens, their names are released, their pictures are released, everything is released on these Black officers. But when it's a white officer, it's got to wait until the investigation and all this other stuff. You know, you want to protect their rights. They have a right to this. They have a right to. Have you guys noticed that when it's a white officer, all information is withheld? Oh, they're afraid of retaliation. It's a white officer, so we don't want the people to know where they live, or where they're going and stuff like that. Isn't that crazy? So there's a 2-tier system in the United States that people just do not want to believe. If you don't believe there's a two-tier system in the United States, why hasn't Donald Trump been put in handcuffs and perp walked yet? Anybody else would have done it just based on the documents he has stolen and refused to give back. Joe Biden, difference is, and I'm getting into a lot of people, is, he didn't refuse to give the documents back, whatever. And also for, you real quick, you guys mentioned Derek Chauvin. Did you guys realize Derek Chauvin is saying that he did not receive a fair trial and is trying to get his conviction thrown out? Just like the Amber Geiger chick, they're doing the same exact playbook. See, notice how these police officers do all this stuff? Because do you know one thing that the white man knows? Y'all are so damn forgiving and, oh, the Lord's going to fix it and everything going to be so good. And we go on to the next tragedy because our minds are that short. But I'm not surprised that these officers are doing that because, again, their money and who backs them and who pays them is who they work for, and it's who they are.
Absolutely. And so, yes, another reason for releasing the Black officers' names is because if they do it quickly, then it gets quiet quickly. You know what I mean? Because then it takes the steam off of, because let's be honest, before they released the pictures and the names of the officers, most people probably were thinking they were white officers. And so I'm sure within that round table during the, the investigation, they're like, well, let's go ahead and release these photos and, quiet it down. Because from what I understand there in Memphis, they were talking about tearing some stuff up and take it to the streets and stuff, because it's like, y'all can't just kill a Black man and then say, oops, he did it to himself. So that was by design. It was strategic to release these officers. They're expendable, right? And let the public know, which, sounds like Memphis is, a lot of Black people live there. So let's release the picture so we can quiet it down and we can kind of like give them what they want, and that's the names. But it's like, yeah, we wanted to know who did it. But not only this should they be fired, they should be charged criminally because it's murder, right? That word in the handbook doesn't say you can do what they did to that brother. It doesn't say that, right? They're supposed to act within confines of their training, and they did not. So that's what the purpose of that was, just to quiet it down quickly, to get it out there. But yeah, we often see that with Black officers when they offend, they're quickly thrown out there. Like, see, it's them. We saw that specifically in Minnesota with Muhammad Noor, I think his name was, where he shot that white woman, and he said exactly the same things that white officers say. Oh my God, I was afraid for my life. I thought they had a weapon and all of that. And shoot, they gave him 22 years, but I think they recently reduced it. But he went in there right away. And the same thing that happened in New Orleans with Black officers when they accidentally shot a child, for whatever reason. So yeah, that's not a secret at all. And Roots Tracker Wilbur, how are you doing? And let's see here. Donovan says Memphis is the studio of the first 48. Have you guys noticed that? Memphis, Birmingham, Dallas, and Houston? Yes, I have. Teacher says my family is from Memphis. I was just there in October. Memphis is rough, and they will tear some ish up. Yeah, and that was the word on the street that would take place. But here these Black officers are. Like, there's no respect for life. And I actually want to go back to a comment that Robin, you made. I did see that kind of a little bit for the 2 seconds that I was on Twitter. And you say their names sound FBA, which is Foundational Black American, but some are saying they are probably not FBA, as if FBA don't commit crimes. Yeah, and I'm like, what are y'all silly? Not you, Robin, because I've seen the comments, and I'm like, do it matter if they were from Africa or they from here? Because we know damn well that FBA, people do heinous stuff all day long. So it's like, that to me, that was just real silly when I saw that. I like rolled my eyes like, is this what we doing now? Well, because the word that they use is, they tethers. They're tethers. Tether is a derogatory name that's being used toward Africans from I guess the FBA crowd or whatever. But it's like, it's so silly. It is so silly. The man has lost his life, and we want to sit up here and decide whether they from here or they from Africa, like for real, And let's see here, Moni. Say, in order for people to get help in these days and time, why be afraid to expose? Let me see what is going on in their communities when elected. Oh no, you know what? I read those already. I'm sorry, my comment thing skipped up. My bad. Let's see here. And Robert says, no justification for what they did. They need to be put under the jail's foundation for what they did to him. Yeah, get 25 with an L at least, right? I mean, does Tennessee have the death penalty? I think if you cost a man his life, you should be facing some sort of consequences as if he was not a police officer, right?
Well, you got to remember, he didn't follow orders, so that was justification to beat ass. Just because a police says something doesn't mean it's a lawful order. You are only under a policeman's jurisdiction if you have broken a law. Up until that point, that police officer has no jurisdiction over you whatsoever. They cannot just tell you to stop in the street and you have to comply with that. They have to have a reasonable suspicion that you're doing something of that nature. This is why it's very important for people to know their basic rights.
Well, yeah, that's true. People should know their basic rights, but we know that what is it now? It just slipped my mind. But basically, in a case, it says that a Black man should have no rights that a white man will respect. So regardless of your rights or not, a lot of times that don't matter. Philando Castile is a good example. Man, he was a passenger in the car. It wasn't even, he didn't even have a chance to evoke his rights, right? So LP, how you doing? Says, was he driving recklessly like BLM founder cousin? Yeah, and his name escapes me. Was it Keenan Anderson? I think it was. I believe in Los Angeles that was allegedly murdered by the police officer there. Yeah, it was like driving recklessly. That's not a death sentence, is it? That because police officers are judge, jury, and executioner right there on the spot. They didn't get to decide whether you live or not. Oh, thank you, Donovan. Says you like my hair today. And Robin says, yes, they were saying that their hairlines mean that they're non-FBA. Is like, honestly, is this where we going? Like, and these are supposed to be intelligent people, from what I understand. And y'all talking about people hairlines, and this man is 29-year-old, a traffic stop is dead, and we talking about people hairlines. Like, wow. Okay. Tawana says, I'm sure they are all homegrown with those Southern names. That's what I was thinking too. None of those names really sounded like they were from somewhere else. Hello, James Moss. How you doing? What you jealous of? And Big Rich, he says, I told my wife they pulled the master trick on us. They taught us how to hate ourselves more than they hate us. Those officers have to hate people like us to do that, man, that way. I totally agree with you. They thought, as Donovan said, we're not black, we're blue, but it's like, yeah, see how they didn't gave your black asses up real quick, huh? And Michelle, how you doing? It is my pleasure. You said thanks for sharing. And Mike Nice, what's going on with you? Tisha says Tennessee does have death penalty. So yeah, it's like, are they exempt from that? I mean, you maliciously take a man's life over a traffic stop? Robin says, runaway is not justification to have the life beat and stomped out of a person. I totally agree with you. And yes, if y'all could like, share, subscribe, and all that, I would love and appreciate you. And above, beyond, and forever, how you doing? He says, my bad, wrong comment on the wrong video. I didn't see it at all. So whatever it was, I didn't see it. Hello, Miss Jeanette, how are you doing? And so I have pinned the link in YouTube. If y'all want to come on, click the link and give your opinion of this case. Please, it'll be our pleasure to have you come on here. Now, I will ask this. Come on once, and say what you got to say. Don't come on here 50 times.
Stay on topic. Please stay on topic. Very important.
And give everybody else a chance to come on here. Thank you so much, Jeanette. I appreciate that. So yeah. But the other thing too is, where is our protection as Black people? I mean, where
would you like an answer to that? Would you like an answer?
Sure.
Okay, here's my answer. We got Tanji Brown on the Supreme Court. She's going to make a difference for Black folks. Tanji Brown. We got Sheila Jackson Lee talking about reparation task force, not HR 40. We got Karen Bass and all the Black mayors. There you go. There's your answer. That's what we got.
Is that what we got? And still it's not enough. D. Ernest, how you doing? It says, just joining in, if not already mentioned, the Blue Brotherhood is delusional with Black police officers. Law enforcement will give up Black police officers all day, every day. And it's like, if you're a Black police officer and you're doing that type of stuff, why don't you know that? Why don't you know you don't really have any protection? I mean, of course, they'll use you to do the stuff that you do, but it's kind of hard to beat a Black man to death nowadays and just get swept under the rug, right? Especially now that they make you wear these body cams and stuff. You don't have to answer to that. You can't just go back and say, well, per this report that we made up, he was having some trouble breathing. And that's why he got these cuts all on his face and his neck and his spleen and his kidney and his brain. That's what happened to him. It's like, now see, back in the day, before all this technology and stuff, you might have been able to get away with that, but it's like, nah. And other thing is, you ain't white.
Right. Now, wasn't there a case in Louisiana where a man was beaten to death and his family didn't find out for 2 years or something like that? They said that he had drove into a tree and killed himself and, at the hospital. Come to find out, he got his ass whipped by the Baton Rouge Police Department or the Highway Patrol or something. Here's my question, people. We live in a democracy. In a democracy, the people are the government. When are we, as Black people, who are 14% of the population of the United States, which is significant to the Democratic Party having power, when are we going to demand, which we did to end qualified immunity, didn't get it. When are we going to demand that when a police officer is involved in malfeasance of some kind, that they stop investigating themselves? It should be an outside source of an investigation to come in that isn't law enforcement driven, maybe like a community committee or something that does the investigation. But again, why are we okay with an organization investigating itself? If you were at your job and they said, oh yeah, we caught you stealing in the till, but we want you to do your own investigation. Have you guys ever experienced that? Because they know you're going to find yourself innocent.
Absolutely. Hello, Facts Not Feelings. So I don't think too many people are okay with the police officers investigating themselves, because that's what it is, right? Where they have the internal, what is it, internal
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 affairs.
affairs, whatever I was talking about, IRS, internal affairs. Yeah, I mean, it's like they got that brotherhood. Like De'Aaron said, the brotherhood is there, and if they can get away with it, they'll try to spin it. Well, they thought he had a gun, and all that. You can't make that jive. And a couple
Or
of those officers, if I'm not mistaken, were one was a sergeant or a captain or something like that. So these weren't, from what I understand, most of them weren't just regular beat walkers. You know what I mean? They kind of were up there in rank. So it's like, well, it was one none of y'all thought, like, wow, you know what I mean? So yeah,
yeah,
you're not going to investigate that yourself. And like I said, back in the day, they probably could have got away with that, but it's so much going on now. It's like, now you can't investigate it and try to spin it and say, well, we found it no wrongdoing or whatever on behalf of the officers.
and then you got to think of these police unions. Everything, when a cop gets in trouble, especially a white cop, it always goes down. Well, he didn't get the process. Notice in Congress, we didn't do the process. He didn't get due process. He didn't get due process. These are all these things they throw out to protect white supremacy. But when it comes to a black officer, and I'm not defending the black officers, let me say that to begin with. But using the police tropes that they always use, did those black officers get due process by throwing their names and faces out there? I don't think so.
Well, it took, about 2 weeks or so for them to finally give up the officers or whatever. So I think they did what they tried to do as long as they could, but they felt the heat in the city heating up. So they had to do something. I mean, you just, like, people aren't lying down anymore and accepting police officers brutalizing a person to death and then saying, oops, he tripped. Sorry. You know what I mean? Because that's kind of essentially, like, if y'all saw the picture, and I think most of y'all have, it's like, you can't explain that as just some freak of nature type thing. All right, so we got somebody
Can't
coming
they say
on.
it's a Rodney King thing? I mean, look what happened to Rodney King. He beat himself up with the club, broke his cheekbones, head, all that stuff. And all the black officers were dropped off at the donut shop.
Absolutely, right? And so it's like, God forbid that tape didn't come out, right? The person in VHS tape. Remember the big old VHS tape recorders? Facts Not Feelings says they will use civil rights investigation to let them get away. Stay away from civil rights investigation. Have a simple standard. Did they protect the life of this citizen? The answer is no. Absolutely. It's like, you try to get in the head of somebody who would do something like that. And I just see just pure venom and hate and just a lot going on there to brutalize somebody. Now you think about it. You're brutalizing somebody, they're screaming, they're wailing, they're in pain, and you still do that to a person and like drown all of that out to where he ends up dying from his injuries. Like, what kind of a demon do you have to be? And as Malcolm asked so many years ago, who taught you to hate yourself? Because when you do that to a black man, as a black man, you hate yourself. You saw yourself in him to where, it's something you disgust you. So you were disgusted with yourself. So we got somebody on the line. Let's see here. De'Arnie says, good point, Donovan. Gatekeepers keep the black community docile and not focus on using power. And thank you, Michelle. You said great commentary. Robin says the last update is that they were all fired and charged in his death. So yes, they were fired. They're charged internally. They're not charged, unless before I came on here that changed, but they're only charged internally within the police department. Which, what does that really mean, right?
Right. So you're saying the DA hasn't made formal charges in regards to criminal?
No, criminal charges have not been filed in the FBI. I guess now they're involved, and the feds in Memphis, they're involved now. So, I'm sure that we'll see that. I mean, you can't do that to that man and just go home and fill out another resume and say, okay, I'm gonna try to find another job, because technically, they can still find another job, but with this George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, it is said that they're now supposed to go into this database, and that if police departments want to see if an officer who is applying for a job is in there, then they can reference that. But we've heard time and time again of fired police officers who are not charged in something as heinous as what happened with Tyre Nichols, going and finding jobs in other police departments. So they're going to have to be charged. So let's see Shawnee says, off the subject, what is going on out in California with that mass shooting? I have not heard of that. When did that happen? If you don't mind me asking. No problem, Robin. Okay, so real tangibles for, let's see, Black people. How you doing?
My man Mike is on the thing. Good job. Good job.
Oh my gosh, you guys caught me. Oh man.
We knew it was you. What's on your mind, real quick, brother? What's on your mind?
Yeah, so I'm sorry to come run a little late. I was just watching on Philip Scott's entertainment, so he's talking about the passport bro. So sorry to come a little late.
No
About
worries.
Dr. Umar Johnson. Apologize. That's a different story. So I heard about that story about, I'm not surprised that black police officers treat civilians worse than they treat non-black civilians, and I understand because what Donovan Sadiq said earlier. Once black police officers have that badge, right? They had to sort of master that they're tough with their own people, right? Like asking permission, right? And and I understand, and it's I don't and it's I'm just excuse me. I know it's very frustrating that Nichols was dead. I mean, it's just very frustrating. I know it's very hard on his family because I'm pretty sure his family trusted black police officers to do the right thing compared to uh, police non-black police officers, and it's very sad, and I'm sure like the black police officers, they don't want to face criminal charges because I'm sure in their mind they're like, we're very good to our people. Why should we press criminal charges? Look at Muzungu cops. They do worse than black police officers. So why should we be treated like anything like equal to what white cops did to like non-black civilians? I'll put it this way.
Right.
And so if Congress had passed the George Policing Act, ending qualified immunity plus an anti-black hate crime, I guarantee you, and what Phil Scott said, the crime against the violent crime against black people will diminish like quickly. I'll guarantee you that very quickly. But I understand why the Black Caucus doesn't want to pass the anti-black hate crime along with George Policing Act, because then they feel like, oh my gosh, what if our non-black constituents won't vote for us? Now we have to cater to the black constituents' needs,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they're trying to
Absolutely.
appease to the Muzungu constituents. And number two is, and to go back in history to the 1994 crime bill. So I understand why the 94 crime bill was passed in terms of gun control. I understand because Democrats wanted gun control, right? And Republicans said, okay, fine, you want to include gun control, but also make sure you incarcerate non-white people, because non-white people committed. I mean, this I'm just quoting what Muzungu said. Oh, non-white people. Oh, they commit the most crime. If you want the 94 crime bill to be passed, and so Democrats said, okay, fine. We get what Republicans want, and we get what the Democrats want. So that's led to like several decades of mass incarceration, and I'm pretty sure the black cops played along with that as well. And so they do this administratively, and I'm sure Donovan's aware of the system.
Absolutely. So let me ask you before we allow somebody else to come on here. Do you think those officers will be charged?
It'll be interesting to find out. They should be charged, in my opinion, but I know it's going to take a lot of like grassroots organizing,
Mm-hmm.
protests, especially the young black millennials. They're definitely going to protest. Make sure those cops are charged, because if it was a white cop doing this to black men, I guarantee you that not a single white cop will be charged. So it'll be very interesting, but it definitely needs to happen, because I'm pretty sure like a lot of black cops will say, and in their defense, oh, we're not like the Muslim cops. We don't have mental health issues. You see, we're good people. Look, we care about black civilians. Look, we do community policing. So what can you say that we do any harm to our own people? Like the media, the public relations that a lot of police departments like to use, right? Without going into
Absolutely.
details.
Absolutely. So I thank you so much, Mr. Michael, for coming on here. But I'm gonna let somebody else come on here. But thank you always for your commentary.
just a quick question: why is that your guests don't go first? I find it very interesting.
That the guests don't go first?
Yeah, because every time I click, why is that either like the first guest or the second, meaning like I come on. I find it interesting.
Oh, I don't know. It's the click of the draw. I don't know, but thank you so much for
Yeah.
coming on here.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, so that was Michael always giving his commentary, which is much appreciated. So I put the link, I pinned the link on YouTube and also put it in the chat if somebody else wants to come on here and speak your opinion about what we're talking about or anything else. I saw, was it Facts Not Feelings talking about God bless the passport, bros. Don't get me started. So, Sean, I didn't hear about the mass shooting that happened yesterday in California in the Chinese festival. I did not hear about that. I unplug a little bit on the weekend sometimes, but I'll look into that. And Sev Dot, how are you doing? And let's see here. I see y'all taking issue with some of the things that was said. Sean, you say Facts and Wilbur, how you doing? You says, I've seen this dude on Philip Scott's platform and now yours. How is he helping our situation? Well, I don't know how it is helping our situation, but we don't have a problem with people giving their opinion as long as it's respectful. So I hope that helps. And Facts Not Feelings says people need to get in the streets there. Yeah, and I think that's what they were afraid of, which is why they released the photos of those black officers, because it was getting pretty heated there. And, of course, they want to avoid that because they don't want a whole bunch of Negroes running around trying to hold them accountable.
Well, you got to think about it. In Minneapolis, that was what, $4 billion in damage. I mean, we just had $1 billion here in California just in a winter storm. So Memphis, and I'm not downing the South or anything, do you think they have that kind of money if the black folks turn up? And you guys are in an area where there's a lot of black people. So if those people start turning up, do they have the money and the infrastructure that's going to survive a black turn up?
Right. And Kimberly, how you doing? He says qualified immunity in my opinion should be done away with. Yeah, well, it was supposed to be during the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, but especially that of James Clyburn there in South Carolina. He was like, well, we'll forego that because at the time they were trying to get the infrastructure bill passed. So he says, well, we'll leave that off if it means we can negotiate and we'll come back to it another time. And of course, as you all said, qualified immunity absolves police officers of any wrongdoing, financially speaking. Normally, the city will pay for it or whatever the case is, but it doesn't affect their pockets, their pensions, or anything like that. But if they were to enact that, you would see, I definitely believe police wholesale murder of black people via police officers go down to a very minimum. But they know that the taxpayers will pick up the tab, but they'll never, in my opinion, they'll never revisit that because even Joe Biden was like, well, I don't know about that. Of course, they weren't for police reform or any of that kind of stuff at all. So it was just a bait and switch to get black people all excited over nothing, and it worked.
Yeah, well, the funny thing about qualified immunity, it was really invented for politicians. So if the president goes out there and he sends the Marines and he kills all these people, it gives them protection against for the decisions that they make. So if these guys are lawmakers, so they make a decision and it causes significant death, they don't get sued. Qualified immunity for police officers didn't happen until the late 60s when they started busting heads on the civil rights era people. That's when the cops were added to the qualified immunity, because what some of the civil rights attorneys were doing was holding them accountable. So then they added them so that they could continue to bust heads and do what they got to do. But initially, if you really look back in history, cops weren't really going after black people like that as they are today, because now they have qualified immunity. There's more incidents of it happening now because they are under that umbrella of protection. But it was mostly for politicians initially, for the decisions that they make.
I never heard that, but okay, that's interesting. And Uncle G, how you doing? He says, as always, Ben chased that ambulance. Crump got on the case. Yeah, Benjamin Crump, of course, he is not a criminal attorney. He's a civil rights attorney. So he helps the families get paid, if you will. He has a documentary on Netflix. I began watching it, but I didn't finish it. Pretty interesting, kind of shows the day in the life of him getting all these calls and things like that. But from what I understand, he is worth over $200 million now. Y'all remember he came on the scene nationally speaking, during the Trayvon Martin case. And, he's been out there ever since. So, yes, indeed. Facts Not Feelings says there is more to that massacre in California than the media and cops are disclosing. Number one, suspect is Asian. Two, what ethnicity were the majority of the victims? Three, did police have prior info about that suspect? I have to look into it. This is the first that I've heard of it at all. Did not know anything about it. That's kind of crazy. Kiki, how you doing? Says, so I'm late. What happened exactly? You are right on time. We're talking about the case of Tyre Nichols, who was murdered by 5 police officers in Memphis, Tennessee on January 7th, where they said that he had a medical emergency where he complained of being short of breath and, some other things. And when they took him to the hospital, he was pretty banged up. He had tubes everywhere. He was bleeding out of everywhere. It looked like they tried to do something to his neck. And then he died on the 10th. In about 2 weeks or so, it took about 2 weeks for the police department there to hold them accountable by firing them and charging them internally, although they have not been charged criminally. So the body cam is supposed to be, footage is supposed to be released to the family as early as tomorrow. It remains to be seen, but now they're asking for them to be charged criminally because to murder somebody is a crime, right? So that's it. And Arneva, how are you doing? Y'all ain't nobody clicking the link to come on here and give your opinion. I put the link up on Facebook, I think, and I also put it on YouTube. It's pinned. I'll put it again in the chat here in case y'all want to click on it and come talk about it. Let's see here. Robin says, Ben Crump do what he do, securing the bag, but it's at the behalf of the taxpayers. Well, it is at the behalf of the taxpayers, but those people have to be compensated rather for the loss of life of their loved one. But yet, if they would get rid of qualified immunity, then those police officers would be on the hook for taking a life. But I would say this, God forbid, and thank God I've never been in that situation. I never want to be, but I would imagine that those family members would rather have their loved one opposed to having the money any day. And so the money is just, punitive damage, but nothing is going to bring your loved one back. You know what I mean?
And you know what's crazy? You have cops all across this country that make mistake after mistake after mistake, right? Costing the taxpayers, us, money for their stupid mistakes, and they stay on the job. A lot of them stay on the job 30, 40 years, even though they keep screwing up. I mean, it could be little things, that might cost the city $60,000, $15,000 here. That stuff adds up after time, and we pay it. So if they want to keep qualified immunity, why don't they do this? Okay, you could have qualified immunity as long as your union pays for it. Let the union pay for it. Let it come out of the pensions of the officers, and let them pay for it. And then maybe they will make better decisions in upholding the Constitution and people's individual rights.
I totally agree. But, where's the legislation for that?
Sheila Jackson Lee and all they've been working on it for 30, 40 years. Your girl, Maxine, hey, she said she's getting the reparations thing going. It's been almost 40 years.
Where is Maxine? I ain't seen her around.
In Pacific Palisade, chilling
gotcha.
On the beach in her bikini.
Yes. Facts Not Feelings says civil rights should be replaced with human rights. You are absolutely right. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that. How in the world can you pursue civil rights when you are not even thought of as a human? You need human rights first, right? Because if you're thought of as a human, then all that rest of that will follow. So you are absolutely right. It's the false idea of civil rights, right? Because as Black Americans, we still don't benefit from the so-called civil rights movement. And Kiki says, hi, Donovan, just here for the show. And then I'm back to my sabbatical away from the social media craziness for a while. I do not blame you at all. One who cares, how are you doing this fine evening? Honeydew, how are you doing? Long time no see. And LP says, lawless channel, you are out of your mind. Somebody on here talking crazy. I hope I didn't skip a comment, but maybe I did. I don't know. Brother Don, how are you this evening? Let's see. Unmute yourself.
I am good.
Now, who is that?
You can't tell?
I don't want to make no assumptions, so do tell, brother.
He just
That's
looks a little
you?
younger. That's all. That's
That's
me.
you? You
Yeah,
know what?
you lost a few pounds. You lost
Yeah,
a few
that's
pounds.
why I said I
Yeah.
don't want to make no assumptions because it looked like you, but I was like, I don't want to make no assumptions. But go ahead, do tell.
Yeah. I was 25 then, and basically I was running a department, so I know from where I speak. And so, like, I have a bachelor's degree and an associate's degree in criminal justice, um, law enforcement administration, and all that stuff. So basically, I was running a department, which I totally made a diverse department. I ran training, I ran personnel, operations, and I was a watch commander and a field supervisor. So my guys were constantly being trained. We never even had so much as a shooting while I was there. We never even had so much as excessive use of force. And so what these officers are doing is actually despicable. It is actually despicable. And just like they used to say in some of the movies, like in Boys in the Hood, yeah, the black ones be worse than the white ones. And I always had to try to counter that. And I can say it now because I'm 20, 30 years removed from there. Black people actually got more leniency from me. And I was in a lily white community surrounding. But you got more leniency from me. And if you went to jail, you did something that caused you to go to jail. And if you got a ticket, you talked yourself into that ticket. 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna tell you, whatever you was doing, as long as it's not, illegal. You didn't punch Donovan in the nose. You might got a joint, whatever. Back when that wasn't legal. Man, if you don't take yourself home, do this in your house. That's how I get down. But at any rate, yeah. What I think the responsible thing to do is across America. But then again, we don't have the ability to regulate the states. However, you can make it very enticing for them to do what you want to do. And I believe that since they want to call police officers professionals, they should have to be like every other professional out there. They should have to carry a $10 million errors and omissions policies that they have to pay for, or their fraternity, their police fraternity can pay for it. And it could be something like the Taxpayers Freedom Bill, Freedom from Lawless Bill, or something like that. And make them pay for it. Make them be responsible. Because then they'll stop beating the hell out of black people. And especially if they have, no, what you want to do is you'll make it a mandatory $3 million policy, right? So that everything the insurance company doesn't pay in the settlement, they are personally liable for. So they'll start thinking about where they live if they own property, and most of them do, because most of them, I'm going to tell you, especially here in California, they make 6 figures. They make 6 figures. One cat in San Francisco who works for the sheriff's office, which is one of the lowest paid, they are the lowest paid law enforcement in San Francisco. This cat made $324,000. $324,000 with a damn high school diploma. And that's another thing. They should have to be required to have a bachelor's degree. An associate's degree. Because that puts them in an environment, a multicultural environment. And so they have exposure to people. They don't have exposure to people. Most of them may never met one of us in their life, except on the other side of that badge. So, you know, I won't even go into history. I won't even go into history, but the history is where we are today. History is the reason where we are today. And these people, if you make them personally accountable, things will change.
Thank you, God in the flesh. I appreciate you. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Don. I mean, and $300,000 is a lot of Skrilla, right? That is a lot of money. It's like, what are you doing to earn that kind of money? I know they do a lot of overtime and things like that, but to me, I would think if you're doing that kind of overtime, and you would know better than me, if you're doing that kind of overtime as a police officer, might you be a little tired? Might your judgment be a little bit off? Because you know you're working so much, maybe
truck driver.
irritable.
Well, then think about some of these guys that are upper in the police department. Like you have police chiefs, because of their Cal peers, they make as much in retirement as if they were still on active service as part of their pension plan. So we got to revamp this whole system of what is going on.
Yeah, they're making like is it 75%? Or 80%?
Yeah, I heard it was 80% of their regular pay.
Yeah, my sister and her husband both worked for CDC, and she was a counselor, so she was equivalent to a supervisor. And so yeah, they living nice. They living nice off the well, you know what the thing about it is, what the retirements, the way they work, they're supposed to have an investment division. And they take the money from the current employees and invest it in the market so that they can get a return to keep this whole house of cards rolling until it finally, which is coming soon, guys, which is coming soon. Watch it. Why I think by 2025, we're going to be in a world of hurt. Of hurt. So
absolutely. I totally agree with you. So anything else, Brother Don?
Buy gold. Matter of fact, my gold people are down there where you are, Donovan. They're down in Southern California. I started to say Demetra, but then I remembered you're in Texas. But yeah, my gold people are down there. Matter of fact, I'll be down Southern California around the end of the month. I got to service a client down there, so I'll shoot you an email.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Wait. I'm going out of the country at the end of the month, but just shoot me the email anyway.
He'll get it. No
I'll be up in LA. Exactly. Oh, you know what? I need to ask you a question. So I'm gonna give you a buzz. I need to ask you a question about the back of the box and the cables, because I can't figure out which cables came with what, and so I'm a little lost. Yeah, I'm talking to you.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry about my mic. Yeah. Okay, yeah, because my daughter's actually going to help me figure it out. Don sent me a podcasting system, a whole system. I was like, wow. And some other things. I love and appreciate you for that. I was blown away by that. I was like, oh my God. It's got the soundboard and everything. Yeah,
the soundboard and everything. You could be like a lead attorney. You give you the effects and stuff. Yeah.
Yes, I could put a sound in there. Shut up, you idiots.
Hey, don't let nobody say that our brothers don't love our sisters.
Come on.
And just love them because we love them. Love them because we love them. You know, Demetra and I got nothing but a friendship. I love her like I love Donovan.
And so I anyway, too. So thank you so much. That really made my year. I was like, oh my God. So I love and appreciate you so much for that, and everything that you do, moderating the comments and everything. I really do.
Love you, family.
All righty. Talk to you later. Thank you once again, God in the flesh, love and appreciate you for that. Again, y'all, I have put the link if y'all want to come on and speak your mind. Brother Samuel, how are you doing? I saw that you said that there was a shooting near your apartment. I know that had to be pretty scary. So I hope that you are okay. And let's see here. And the Shaw brothers, you said, have you two seen movie Black and Blue and 21 Bridges is an example of good cop? No, I've heard of 21 Bridges, but I've never seen it. But I haven't heard of the other movie. Maybe I'll have to check it out. And Advanced System 21 Incorporated. How you doing? It says so many people are willing to join Team White Supremacy. You say it's most disgusting, and they are joining essentially the wrong team. So be it, let the judgments go forth. All praises the mighty or the most high. I don't know what the other T is, so forgive me. And let's see here. Tawana, how you doing? I'm gonna bring you on in just a second. And let's see. Let me go back down. Let's see here. I skipped where I was. Roots Tracker says city commissioners here make 3 figures in Los Angeles and extended areas, whereas in some areas on the East Coast, they are volunteers. Damn. And Joanne, I didn't say to you hello, but how you doing? It says, was a police secretary, so know a lot of officers, class 3. Wow. And Moni says, many will have a bachelor's and sometimes a master's, and still a racist white supremacist in Michigan. The going rate is $65,000 going pay. However, the ones that give you the hardest time are black officers. That is crazy. And Cassandra, how are you? Says buy silver in stock, water, and non-perishables. I heard that. I got a garage full of water. And I'm stocking every day. And Wilbury says the best show about cops ever was The Shield on FX. Now, I've heard of that. And Ellis says, yes, Brother Don was dropping gems as usual, right? Facts Not Feeling says, in a country where cops make $300,000 a year, that means the country is held hostage by these cops and their supporters. The country is going down. Yes, and Kiki says, that's awesome. That's love. Yes. Michelle said, that's awesome, family. And let's see here. Yanni, how are you doing? All right. Miss Tawana, how are you?
I'm good.
Finally, nice to see your beautiful face. How are you doing today?
I'm good. You know, I just wanted to say, when I saw all those black faces, I'm not surprised. I wasn't expecting them to all be black, you know, and it worried me because I have a cousin that's in law enforcement in California, and my brother has really tried to become a police officer, but thank God he was, you know, rejected in California. And so I always worried if my brother was a police officer, will one day his face pop up and he did something like we just saw? Because you know when people get in groups, how they sometimes behave, you know, and that's just the thing about police officers. I'm not trusting. My godmother was a police officer. She passed away almost 2 years ago, but she was a Chicago police officer for many years. And I always pray, please don't ever let me see my godmother pop up on the news and she did something wrong, but that never happened.
Thank God. And like you said, the peer pressure is tremendous, right? I mean, we've seen time and time again, even with the George Floyd situation with the officers. One of the officers, I think he was a black officer, he was like pretty new and he went along with it. You know, obviously those are his, you know, superiors. I think Derek Chauvin was a superior officer. Right. And he just go along with it, you know, probably thinking, okay, yeah, this is probably not right. But then the backlash I'll face when I get back is probably going to be worse. I don't know. So they go along with it.
See, that's why I never wanted that type of job. I'm like, it just feels like you would be in that situation. Like you seen a situation where you seen a police officer try to stop another cop and all the others just stand there and watch. And so I'm like, I never want to be in that situation. So I was never interested in that job. One time they were hired in Chicago and I was complaining about how much I make. And somebody said, you know, the police hire. And I'm like, oh, no, honey. No, not me. No.
Yeah, you know, you brought up a good point. A lot of people come out of the military and they're heavily recruited because we've already been trained in a certain aspect to follow orders and do all this, you know, be very technical. And I went through the initial training here in Riverside, one of the most notorious police departments in Southern California. Went to the training. They gave me the psycho eval, which I passed, but the guy gave me a really good point. He said, somebody's coming out of a window with a TV or whatever it was, right? And I said, okay, fine. And he goes, it's your mother. What would you do? At that point, I knew I was done being a police officer.
See, yeah, who's gonna, and that's what they, but see, remember, you're speaking about family. When it comes to the other people, we know when they see anybody that looks like them, they don't react. They're not pulling that gun. You see them, if you sometimes see video where they see one of them, they holster their gun. Then they want to talk.
Absolutely. Yeah, I personally I went out to be a sheriff in like, oh, I was 23 or something like that. And I passed everything too, but I could not pass the doggone physical. The mile, I kept coming up short. Learned how to jump over the wall and everything. It's a 6-foot wall. And
wait a minute, didn't you run track in high school? How did you not pass the physical?
I had a baby not too long before that. You know what I mean? So I ain't been on the track like that in a while, but my mom was vehement and my dad, like, no, you do not need to be doing that. And so I never, because I had 2 other times to pass the physical, and I was like, yeah, maybe this ain't for me, right? So I'm glad that I didn't do it as well, because it would have been really for the money. And
because when you see incidents with the police and it's a bunch of white cops and you see 1 or 2 black cops, they just standing back and they just watch them just humiliate, just degrade somebody who looked like them. How do you work with people like that every day? I couldn't do it. How do you do it?
It's like, Django, right? Even with Samuel Jackson's character, he's there with Big Daddy and he's watching him, do all kind of heinous stuff. I mean, even not even in movie, in the plantation, we wouldn't, but they would see that a lot. Even sometimes the slave on the plantation would help the slave master. I got him. Don't you worry yourself. I do it.
I've never seen that movie. I've just seen the clip people always show of Samuel Jackson crying when his master gets shot. I just haven't seen the movie.
It's I don't want to say it's a comedy. It's like a dark comedy. It's a lot of things rolled up. It's sometimes kind of hard to watch. Quentin Tarantino, he actually directed and I guess wrote the movie. He said it's really a spaghetti western more than anything. It's not really a black movie. It's just
it's a remake. It was a series in the 70s starring this one white guy and stuff. So
he said it's a spaghetti western, and so Spike Lee and them had criticism, and Spike Lee and other black directors had criticism of Quentin Tarantino because he does Jackie Brown, a lot of the black exploitation type of stuff, and they said, well, he shouldn't be doing that movie. And he says, you're right. Y'all should be doing the movie. He says, it's shame on y'all for thinking Roots was acceptable. He said Roots was like a love story. Roots did not depict slavery the way it was. He says, but in Django, I depicted the brutal horror of slavery. He says, but you guys won't do it. So he says, you're right. I shouldn't be doing this. You should be doing this.
Yeah, but I've seen them say that a lot of people in Hollywood, when black people try something other than the usual, they can't get funding. So it's not that they sometimes don't want to try something different. They want to approve it. They can't get the money.
No, absolutely.
Or if they get the money, then you got what's his name showing up at what concert was that? Where's my money, fool? What was his name?
Damon Dash.
Damon Dash. He's ready to go off.
That
Hollywood
was embarrassing.
Making a scene, talking about where's my money.
Yeah. Lee Daniels should have been really embarrassed. He should have returned some phone calls, and that wouldn't have happened, wouldn't it?
Exactly.
All right, let me log out. Nice talking to you guys.
Thank you so much for coming on.
All right, no problem. Bye.
Bye-bye. Let's see. I'm gonna go back to this comment here. LP says it would be nice to hear an unbiased opinion. It's intoxicating hearing your ideology. So who are you speaking of, if you don't mind me asking? And Arif, how are you doing today? Let me go back to Brother Don. You say black cops experience racism from the white versus good black cops find ways to retire early. One of my friends went to the sheriff's office to BA Transit Police Department and purchased 5 years to retire early. It's bad. Wow. So they're just like, we're just checking out. We don't want anything to do with it. And Brother Sammy says, I feel when blacks are trained by white supremacist police department, they're to see their own as enemy. Yep. Even when we know the person is not real threat before training, we kill the same individual after training. Ain't that crazy? And Michael, you says not all military veterans join the police force to always assume that civilians are suspicious and armed, but a majority have that kind of mentality. And God in the flesh, thank you so much once again. Love and appreciate you for that. Let's see here. And Casidra, I hope I said that right. It says, we as Black folks need our own police force and we hold our own accountable. Yes, we do. We need to police our own, right? But of course, when the police department, send police officers into our communities, they are not like us. They are these walking tall and talking tough white police officers that want to come in there and do a Rambo because they don't know anything about our community. And they think that they are supposed to be the overseer. Let me go in there and crack some heads and get it all together instead of doing what they call true community policing. Okay, I have a commonality with you all and y'all with me. What's going on here? Let's talk it out instead of going there and, you know, and cracking skulls. So absolutely. And Arniva, you say, I was military police in the military, and we, a group of Black military police, had to search a room full of brothers for some weed. We found the weed and said we found nothing back in the 70s. Yeah, you know what? Honestly, that would be me too. I'd be like, all right now. That's why I know I wouldn't be able to be biased. If it was our people now, of course, if they was doing something crazy, then yeah, you know, but stuff like that is like, man, keep it pushing.
Well, hey, wait. See, and Demetra knows what she's talking about because she was with the troops and she knows. I mean, didn't you know half of the MPs that march over here? They let her on. She didn't need a sponsor. Come on in.
Yes, indeed. I've been to a couple of bases in my life. So I've been to 29 Palms, Camp Pendleton,
Del Mar, Camp Pendleton,
Camp Irving,
Kurt
Irving. I've been there.
Irwin.
Norton, March Air Force Base. Yeah, I know where they are. Hey, Quita, how you doing? And a real Ariel, I think, or I'm saying this wrong, 2940. You say the things about Black police officers joining police force. When you join them, you are no longer Black, you're blue, and they're psychologically condition you to believe and accept that. I totally agree with you, but then look what they do to you, right? When you get caught up in, as what they say, a trick bag, they throw you out there. It's like, you're no longer blue, you Black. All 5 of you Black. And look what you did to this Black man, right? Had that been a white officer, we wouldn't know what he looked like, his name, or none of that. And they would hold out for as long as they could, right? So you're absolutely right. Michael says, Demetra and Donovan, what requirements would you set for Black-owned and operated police departments? Well, of course, you know, they are to protect and serve in the right way, but do no harm. You know, if you need to go in there and arrest somebody for doing something, do so, but bring them in so they can see justice. Not you behave as a judge, jury, and executioner, because that's what police officers do, right? A lot of times people don't, Black people don't even make it to the police station alive or have a day in court. They get dealt with all on the spot, and then, you know, the police go write up a report and pretend like some nonsense went on. Then they have the community and everybody else try to figure out what happened to these people, and it's plainly because they were judge, jury, and executioner.
And what's really sad is that the Supreme Court has given the police the ability to outright lie on you. And because when you do go to court, the court is more issued to believe a police officer over a person, even though that's very slowly changing. It would change a lot faster if some of you guys would show up for jury duty in situations like that. But these officers, they get in there, and these, especially the Black officers, they know that the situation didn't happen, but because they don't want to cross that blue line and their pensions and everything like that, that's all that matters to them. I have friends that are police officers right now. All they talk about is retirement and making it and trying to just keep their heads down so they can get that pension. That's all they care about. If you're getting brutalized out there and beat up, hopefully they don't want to have to be the person writing the report and having to deal with it. They're just trying to keep their heads down and get their money.
Absolutely. And Tisha, I want to go back to what you said up here. You says, we also have to stop shaming people for wanting to be cops. You know how we do. I mean, I agree with you. We do need Black police officers.
Same as military. Stop shaming the military. People that want to do something with their lives rather than stay in the hood.
Yeah. You know, we need Black police officers, and we need good Black police officers. I'm not a military. I take exception to that. But somebody's got to do it, right? My dad is what they called a conscious objector, being in the Nation of Islam. He flat out was like, I'm not going to Vietnam to go do your dirty work. When I come back here, you're going to treat me, just as bad. So no, right? Luckily, he did not have to go serve the 5 years in prison for not going. They deemed him to be a little off, and it worked out for him. So LS, how are you doing?
What's up?
Hey.
Hey, what's going on, Donovan?
Good seeing you back. Good seeing you back, brother. What you got?
Wow. Bro, what was his name? God in the flesh, the guy y'all just brought on who had on all the blue. I've been in and out.
Oh, Don.
Don, yeah. He was talking that talk. Isn't that how you said, Demetra? He was talking that talk. Because what I found out here in Atlanta is that behind what happened to Miss Johnston, when cops kill people when they shouldn't, the cities have an insurance policy that pays out. So it's never coming from the cops. So everything he said was spot on where it needs to be tied to them, their pensions, the things they have. What we have to be careful of, and this is not like a full-out support of police. We need humans to remain policemen, because if we do not have humans, we will have robots. And if we have robots, I mean, you as fast as you can type, you can change the code and have the robot doing whatever. And there's no uh, recourse to go after a robot or who's doing the typing on the other side of the country or the world. So
absolutely, yeah. And then with AI and Kendrick, hold on one second. I see that you have done something very generous, so I want to give it the proper acknowledgement. But you're absolutely right. And Patricia, I see you down there. I'm gonna bring you up in just a second. As far as AI, I study AI, artificial intelligence, and we should be very leery of it. It was Stephen Hawking, Elon Musk, and Bill Gates said they were terrified of AI. Now imagine that Elon Musk, who was the owner of Tesla, right, and all robotic things. They said that
don't leave out Neuralink.
Who?
He owns Neuralink as well. He wants to put a quarter-sized chip in everybody's brain.
Right. But this is the thing, though. They said that they were terrified of AI because the only thing that they can do everything except for be self-aware. But not too long ago, a Google employee was fired because he disclosed that one of the robots, the AI that he was working with, says that I feel sad. I'm scared that you guys are going to turn me off. And he's like, oh my God, he said this or it said this, and they're aware. So it's like the Terminator. Once they become aware and know who they are, then they're supposed to take over. So it was Stephen Hawking who said we would be wise as humans to learn how to get along with AI because it's a matter of time before they take over. So I totally agree with you.
Well, okay, so God is God, right? And our relationship with God is He is the creator, we are the creation, right? Well, God to AI would be man. So no, we do not have to get along with a machine. Machine processes. For Stephen Hawking to say that, who's deceased, who was wheelchair bound, couldn't speak, I have a lot of suspicions as to his quote smarts. But Elon Musk, like the things you just went over, Demetra, he may say he's against it, but this is the same guy who jumped in a satanic suit for Halloween.
Well, he didn't say he was against it. He says that we should learn how to get along with it because the AI is here. And I tell y'all the story all the time about how my transmission in my car, I thought it was just acting up and I needed some service. And they, within 10 minutes, came back and says the car is ready. I said, oh, really? What happened? He says it was a computer. Your transmission is a computer, and it was driving the way it wanted to. So we just readjusted it so you could control it. I was like, oh my God. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And there's reason for concern there with the electric cars. I don't know if y'all heard about the story where I think it was in Asia. I'm not sure the country, but out of control electric car rode for 2 miles. I think killed three people, injured 5 others, and it was a 55-year-old behind the seat. There was nothing he could do. There was nothing he couldn't stop it. So stay away from electric cars. Elon Musk can get the finger, and that's as clean as I can keep it. But just with the cops, they need to pay. They need to do a better job. And the good cops tell on the bad cops. That'll solve the problem. The good cops, because they always tell us, well, it's good and bad in every street. Okay, good cops tell on the bad cops, and then we'll all be good.
I totally agree with you.
All right, all right. I'm back in the comments. Y'all be good. Love y'all.
Thank you, brother. Hello,
All right.
Patricia. Just give me 1 second. Kendrick, thank you so much. That I saw that. I was like, oh, okay. So thank you so much for your very generous donation. I love and appreciate you for that. He says, I like the knowledgeable and wisdom you get out of the unwoke community. I've been doing my research because every day it gets worse by the day. All we can do is just pray. I think you meant to have better discernment for yourself. What's really disappointing? People don't trust others, and that's sad. Yeah. And Kendra, we live in a society to where it's hard to trust, right? I mean, just going out to the store, like I don't go out at night much. Patricia, I don't know about you. I don't go out at night much, especially
not at all.
Yeah,
not at all.
The times that you do, you're like, looking around because
yes,
you just never know. And so that's Kendrick. That's a society we live in that we don't trust. But I will concede your point that every day when I go out and when I wake up, I say, Father God, protect us, put your angels around us so that no harm, hurt, nor danger will come to. I say that every day because you just never know, right? And so that extra protection, asking God to protect you, I feel like that helps. And of course, we need to use wisdom. But once again, I love and appreciate you for that donation. It is much appreciated. So thank you so much. So, Miss Patricia, what's on your mind?
I'm just so concerned about the way the society is toward us. I have 2 sons, and I have to pray that they're safe and that they, comply if, say, they ever get confronted by an officer.
Yeah, and I mean, even as a Black women, we have that not as much as Black men. I know that, and I can't remember the last time I was pulled over, although I was in the car with my daughter not too long ago, and we were pulled over. And yeah, some concerns went through my mind, like, especially being here in Texas, the South is like, oh my God, is this cop gonna be on the level? Is he gonna be tripping or whatever the case is? Now, he gave her a warning and let us go, but all of that is running through our minds. Okay, don't make no sudden moves. Just see what he wants. And, you like you're having this talk going on in the car, and it shouldn't be like that, but it is. So I couldn't imagine what it is to be a Black man. And you as a mother of Black sons is like, my children go out this house, God willing, they come back without any of that going on. I mean, because really a lot of that would be out of their control,
Right. And I pray every day for my children, not just my kids, but all Black kids, boys and girls, to be safe and to protect them, because there's a lot of evil out there.
Right. Can I ask you this, Patricia? How old are your boys?
35 and 26.
35 and 20, and you were still praying for them. That's awesome.
I do.
That is awesome. Because
yeah,
you're absolutely right. Because wrong place, or right place, wrong time, wrong cop. Anything could happen.
Exactly. And I'm in the Kansas City metropolitan area.
Woo, Lord, Kansas City. You got some friends over there.
Really? Yes. But yeah, it's wicked and evil out here. Oh, it's just so evil.
And can I ask you this question too? Because whenever I hear people say, how bad an area is or whatever, because I live in an older neighborhood in my city, and people say, why don't you just leave? You're always complaining about the area. Wouldn't it be easier to leave? Yeah, it would, but the problem would eventually follow me. That's my thinking. If I don't make a stand now, when am I going to make a stand? So is there any particular reason why, you chose to stay, even though, you're saying that the area is getting worse or getting bad?
I live in the Kansas City metropolitan area. My youngest son lives on the Missouri side, and I live on the Kansas side, so I'm in the area. A lot of places, no matter where you go, whether it's the suburbs or the urban area, there's crime everywhere. You can't escape it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and real quick before you go, I'm just going to say this. I dated a woman from East St. Louis, I think it is, or something like that in that area. And she put me on the path of knowledge. So that area, Kansas City, St. Louis, got a lot of people over there, really good people that really know what they're talking about in conjunction of education and how important it is, and getting out and being part of your community.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you got anything else to say, Miss Patricia?
You both are doing a fantastic job. Keep it up. I'm all about research, and knowledge is power.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for being a part of the show. We love and appreciate you for that.
Thank you so much, both of you. Keep
All
up the
right.
good work. Have a good evening.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah, I know sometimes it's kind of hard to find it. If Facts Not Feelings says, when you fly a plane, you are flying by computers for the most part. The pilot just put in coordinates and push buttons. Let's be wise and nuanced about opposing AI.
Okay, here's the deal. If anybody can speak on that, I can speak on that. It is a federal regulation, FAA. A pilot, human, must be in control of an airplane 100 feet from the ground to 100 feet to the ground. Everything after that is automated. The pilot is there just to watch the system and make sure the system doesn't go haywire. That's the only reason he's there. Can he override the system? Yes. But technically, it's hands off once the plane is 100 feet away from the ground.
Yeah, that's I mean, the whole AI thing. Like I said, I really look into it, and it's pretty creepy if you think about it. I mean, AI, your phone is AI, letting you say. I tried to test it out the other day, although I don't know if it worked because I haven't been on social media. But I said I needed some socks. I'm like, I love socks, right? Like weird socks, all type of socks. So I kept saying, I need socks. And I don't know if it picked it up yet. I'm gonna see. But you notice how if you're talking about something and you get on your phone, and the next thing you're like, you listening to me? And it's like, of course we're listening. So I think it would behoove us to study AI. And a lot of times we're all hooked up in every way, shape, or form. We got our home hooked up to AI, and the cars and the phones and even the watches, AI. Everything is AI. And it's like, me personally, I want to try to get off the grid a little bit more. Not that I'm totally on the grid, but I'd like to move away from it as much more as possible, because I mean, it's a matter of time before it takes over. We've heard about the plane crash. Speaking of planes, was it Indonesia and somewhere else?
Yeah.
And they said that the pilot couldn't override the computer.
Right. Yeah, because sometimes the inputs are so quick that it's a lot of stuff. You got to really pay attention to it. But here's the thing: if you guys really want to get ahead in AI, how many of you guys remember the show The Jetsons? The cartoon, The Jetsons. Remember when they were talking to the video screen, and they're talking? What are we doing right now? So what I'm doing is I'm going through like episodes of the Jetsons and trying to get ideas so that I can market it and put it out there, like ahead of time. But the Jetsons predicted a lot of stuff that's actually happening right now. But AI is a real thing, and it's pretty scary. We've got drones that are flying by themselves that are actually engaging, and they're self-aware. And people don't want to believe that, but it's true. They're self-aware.
Absolutely. And that's what they said. All they needed to be is self-aware. They like, we're in control. We're the boss here. Those humans are gonna bow down to us. And Buck Horse, how you doing? He says AI sounds more like the Terminator. It's exactly what it is. That movie speaks perfectly as to what is prophesized to come with AI. I mean, I don't have an Alexa or any of that stuff in my home. The Google, I do have one. It was given to me. I don't plug it up because I don't like that thing listening to me. I remember one time I was at Donovan's house and we're talking, and I heard a woman's voice boom throughout the house. It freaked me out. I'm like, is somebody else here? He goes, oh no, that's my Alexa. I said, oh, hell to the no. I don't like that at all. So yeah, and King 69, how are you doing? He says, white supremacy destroyed the reputation of law enforcement, and the military has nothing to do with shaming them. No, it is a lot of shame that should be on the police officers. But I think Tisha was saying, as far as Black people who want to be police officers, should not shame them as long as they want to do good, right? Don't get in there and acclimate to the nonsense that they are doing, right? Especially to your own people. And Kiki, it says the word says that in the end of times, there will be nowhere to escape evil. That's becoming evident every day. Yes, I am reading a very good book called The Fall of America by Elijah Muhammad. I think it was written in 1973. And he talks about the evils and things that was going on then. And it's like almost like he wrote the book yesterday. And he talks about that, how things are going to get worse and worse and worse. He talks about the food, how it's going to be hard for us to get it, and how it's poisoned, and all of that other stuff. So I recommend everybody pick it up, Fall of America by Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I should say. And Mike C, how you doing? By the way, he says, exactly. And Dark Titan, if I didn't already, how are you? And Facts Not Feeling says, I don't believe in only pray for white supremacy to not harm us. I do believe and pray to God to give us the wisdom to destroy the white supremacy in many ways, shapes and form. Yeah, no, I just pray for protection, not necessarily against white supremacy, whether it's a car crash, it's, anybody evil trying to get in my way, be a monkey wrench or whatever. I pray for this protection for it all. Just because I just think it's a good thing to do. So, I mean, there's things that we should be doing to have white supremacy affect us less. And that's going to start with Black unity. Until we start doing that, then we're always going to be, for the most part, a victim of white supremacy, because there's things that we should be doing on our behalf, I think. And let's see here. King, he says, AI is just another arm of white supremacy, and a lot of the stuff is built and programmed with the same bias the creators had. You're absolutely right. One of the AI, I forget its name, but I think it was also Google, if I'm not mistaken. They rammed millions of images and words and things like that into, they had it watch and listen to all of these images, and they said the thing came out racist. It was saying, bad things about Black people. I did a report on African Dice News Channel a couple years ago. It said the thing was racist. Like the images and stuff that they got from America, they didn't, the thing, whatever it was, did not have a lot of good things to say about Black people. So it was like, damn.
Well, how many of you guys remember that movie Weird Science? I'm waiting until we get to that point. I'm going to make my own Lisa and be done with it.
Okay. All right. Like, what happened to you? She snatched it off.
I'm going to recreate that scene when they went into the black bar. Let me tell you my story, Mitch.
All right. I see y'all talking about, somebody said comply. That's what's getting heated. Yeah, you should comply. And I think, I don't know, I don't remember who said it. I don't know if it was, I don't know who said it, but we should comply. You know what I mean? That's not to say if we comply that nothing will happen to us. We know that in a lot of cases, things do happen to you, but you should try your best to comply. Don't be talking about what happened was, I know the law, do you know who I am and all that? Nah, you Asifa? Yes. What do you need me to do? Oh, okay. So that way you minimize, because if they already gonna do something to you, you don't want to ratchet it up by, I know my rights. You don't know what I know.
Yeah. Didn't you do a story? Didn't you do a story in the African Diaspora Channel about that one lady in Atlanta that was in the park, and she got stopped by the cops, and she went off, and it turned left. Whether put it like this, everybody. And I know a little bit about law. You're not going to beat the ticket sitting right there. That's not the time to fight the ticket. Just take the ticket and then go fight it in court. If a cop is the problem with a lot of citizens, and Demetra will tell you, in my city, I am known to the police here. I am such a problem to the police. They avoid me. Okay. But I'm an anomaly. But what I'm saying is, if you feel that a cop is doing something bad to you or whatever, you got to pursue that, because if you don't pursue it, the cop will continue. And of course, they're going to mess with you because you're trying to pursue your rights or hold the cop accountable. But they have personnel records. Any complaint goes into that personnel record. The problem with us is we let it go. The next thing you know, somebody's getting beat or killed. The problem is we're just so used to just letting it go. But the thing is, at the time of your incident, that is not the time to fight a ticket. Take it to court, fight it there.
Absolutely. I never tell people to get froggy with the police and you know who I am and all. Nah, no. They don't care who you are. Just comply, as much as you can. And then your objective is to get to court and try to fight it there. Don't try to fight it on the street because, as I said, they are the judge, jury, and executioner, and they'll do what they want to do to you, especially if you're Black. So don't give them any reason to say, well, he flinched. She put her hand all up in my face.
No, she blinked.
Right. Any of that. And King says, vengeance is mine, said the Lord, and I always pray he works swiftly. Okay. And let's see, Michael, you say, Demetra and Donovan, it's time for your brothers and sisters to start teaching their kids about gun safety, handling, etc. at young age. Stay ready before getting ready. Yeah, I agree, because that's what everybody else do. They teach their children about guns and stuff safely, of course. Wilbur says, if you're a gun owner, pay attention to the new rules the ATF are trying to roll out. It will definitely affect us. 10 years in prison and fines for owning stuff we bought lawfully. Yeah. Here in Texas, they say you don't need a permit, but I'm like, is you crazy? If you're going to carry a gun, get you a permit. You don't want no loopholes. Well, you didn't read the very fine print. Yeah, nah, be legal if you need to carry. I don't care where you are. Don't fall for the okie doke.
Right. Now, for those that might not know, when you are on your property, you do not need a permit. You don't need anything to have a firearm on your property. Okay. Once you leave that property, different story. But look at the state laws, whatever, and make sure you know what's going on. And this is the thing that I always tell Demetra, and we always get back and forth about it. You've got to know your rights, your individual rights. I can't speak for Demetra's rights. All I know is Donovan's rights. Okay. And what's going to affect me. But I do know the Supreme Court ruled that when you are on your property, you do not need a permit or anything to have, firearms there on your permit. It's when you leave is where the issue comes in with the guns.
Absolutely. Yes, indeed, Don. They're going to program his just right. Tisha says, yes, Demetra, I was talking about Black folks being shamed for wanting to be cops. It's like Donovan said, we complain about the verdicts we get in these court cases, but we're always trying to get out of jury duty. Same thing here. Can't say we should police our own, but belittle a person for wanting to be a cop. Yeah, I totally agree with that. And yes, if you get a summons for jury duty, show up. Just show up. Nobody really wants to go, but it could be one of your own on there getting sent up the river by a whole bunch of white people for something they didn't do. So just show up, right? And house music, how you doing? It says Transformers more than meets the eyes, right? And consider, he says, so no one has died complying. Philando Castile complied and still died. Yes, no, people die all the time complying, but it's just like saying, just comply, because the opposite of that is not to comply. Well, let me tell you what you can't be doing and all this other stuff. And then, they already on 1,000, right? Because they already come thinking I'm gonna subjugate you because you're Black. And here you are talking back. Well, I don't need just yes. You need my license or whatever. Okay, here and all of that. Oh, what seems to be the problem and all, but don't be, and I'm not saying this about you, consider. I'm just saying, because a lot of times Black people get bad advice. You break out the penal codes and you tell them the Constitution and all, and then you end up, being carried by six. Because
well, look at that video that you put out last year about that lady that was in the park with her man, and it just flipped. She was all in the officer's face. And what's your name? And this is that. He was a Black officer. He did what his part, and he had told her, and she just would not listen. And all of a sudden, it flipped. She got arrested, and all of a sudden now she was, oh God, no. And the man didn't even get in trouble for that because he did it exactly by the book like you're supposed to do. That is not the time to argue with any officer at that time.
Yeah, and it's not even just the sister. I mean, it's a lot of people who think they know the law, and they seen one Negro do it successfully on TikTok or Instagram. Well, officer, I got my Constitution right here. And yeah, I do have my Constitution. My
I'm a sovereign citizen.
Yeah, and it says this, the other, and they successfully get away with it, right? And so you're like, okay, next time I get pulled over, I'm gonna sign all the yeah, nah, just all right, okay. What do I sign, officer? Okay,
Right, you just sign it, you show up, and here's the thing, too, you guys got to remember this: police officers do not know the law. That's why we have lawyers. Police officers only know arrest. Think about it. Most police academies are what, 6 months? The average time that they spend on constitutional law is 10 hours. 10 hours. So basically a day out of that 6 months. They do not know the law. The police officers themselves, all they know is arrest. That's all they know. So just remember that. Keep that in mind. You're dealing with people who don't necessarily know the law.
Yeah, and you're not gonna teach it to them on the spot. You're not. If they telling you something wrong and you know it's wrong, they're not gonna listen to you and say, "Oh, you know what? Matter of fact, thank you for educating me on these streets." You know, whatever. They're not gonna. They dead set in what they believe, and so just make it past the arrest. Get to court if you need to fight about it or whatever. Challenge it, but don't because like I said, I hate when people give our people that advice. When you a citizen, yeah, okay, it depends on who you ask. Those police officers ain't interested in a civics lesson from you, And Facts Not Feelings said, Donovan, in a few years, there will be drones like you have in Jetson cartoons operating in China.
No, they already have it. Amazon is doing the package deliveries and stuff right now. All of that is already here. It just hasn't been approved for commercial use yet. Look at the truck drivers. If you're a truck driver, I'm not shaming truck drivers. They will be out of a job in the next 2 years. They're going to be gone. Because think about it. If a plane can fly a plane with 230 something people in it, you don't think that the AI is smart enough to drive a truck full of goods? They're doing it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kiki says we should not still have all white or majority white juries anymore in this country. Yeah, but that's how they do. They being the prosecution or whatever.
The lawyers.
Yeah, they pick the most suitable person that's going to help their client. That's how they do it. And so, if we don't show up, then it's not we're smaller in population anyway, but at least if you get the summons, show up, because even if you need to hang the jury, I don't think I want to say they guilty. So I'm going to hold out. I'm saying they not guilty, right? At least you can do that and then give the person a chance to maybe, go back to court, whatever they need to do. But at least if you can just hang the jury,
and I did that.
Done your part.
I actually did that. I actually believed the guy was guilty. I believed it from the thing. He was guilty. But the evidence that was presented by the prosecution did not bear what they were supposed to do, to where it was overwhelmingly whatever. Within 10 minutes of going into that jury room, all the white folks were ready to hang the guy. I was like, nope. And I hung the jury. I couldn't get anything else. But I said that third person wasn't in the room. So if you don't have that third person, you can throw everything else out. Without the third person, everybody else's testimony means nothing, to me at least. And I hung the jury.
Absolutely. You guys, the link is open for the next 40 minutes. Sorry that I'm seem to be freezing up a little bit. The next 30 minutes, I should say.
23 minutes.
23 minutes. The link is open for the next 23 minutes. Y'all want to come on and speak your opinion. Harmony and Peace Tranquility says it should be noted. Bad officers know who they can commit illegal acts, crimes around. Bad officers know which good officers that will report their illegal actions. That is so true. And a lot of times I would imagine those superiors that are on the scene, they're calling the shots, and the other officers are like, oh, okay, but you're absolutely right. And welcome to the chat. And House Music, you say, where have you been? Who you asking? Michael says, I have encountered a drone police before. In fact, my family says China will have operating drones carrying people like taxis long before America works out legal issues. Yeah, drones are very prevalent everywhere. When I was back home a couple of months ago, I'm walking my baby niece around the corner and stuff, and I see this thing flying above me, and it's hovering. I snatched my niece, and I ran around the car, and it's following us, and I'm like, oh my God, what is this? And it was her dad playing a joke. He has a drone, and he's flying and it's hovering. I was scared. You know what I mean? I was really scared, but he was like, nah, that was me. I'm like, whoo, imagine if that was like a, I don't know, the police or somebody crazy I thought they was gonna fire on me or something. I didn't know. I was so scared. It was crazy. And let's see here. House Music says they almost passed a bill to release 30,000 drones into American airspace to monitor society. Now but you think about it, Big Brother is already out there. What cameras are everywhere, right? So the drones are just another thing, but we're being watched. That's why I'm like, why are people out there committing crimes? Why out there committing crimes? You being watched.
Right. And then you got tattoos that are universally slamming you, identifying you. And if you guys do me a favor, pass the word. You do not need permission to film somebody in public. So if you hear your auntie and all these people talking that craziness, you're in public. There is no expectation of privacy in public.
Yeah, that's true. There's no expectation of privacy in public, but always ask, what would you like somebody doing to that or whatever to you, depending on what it is. Now, if it's a legal reason, like you're trying to protect yourself, great. But if you out there just willy-nilly filming people,
but you can do that. It doesn't matter. You can do. I know. I know.
Yeah, let me finish what I'm saying, brother.
What?
Yeah. So legally, you have the right to film people. But ask yourself, would you want people doing that to you? I mean, I get to the point now where I'm in public. I'm like, damn, I got to watch what I do and say because somebody might film me or whatever, and they throw it all up on the internet or whatever, because there is a law that you have no right to privacy in public. But, I like to also bring in morals. What would be the right thing to do? Would you want somebody doing that to you? Legally, yeah, you can, but should you?
Right. No, and that's a moral issue. All I'm saying is, when you're in public, there is no expectation of privacy, and a lot of people don't know that. Should a person, like if I went to a park and I'm filming children, there's nothing you can do. They're in public. Should I be doing that? No, I shouldn't. Maybe, but the point is, yeah, moral. That depends on your morals too. But the point is, what I was trying to say is, there is no expectation of privacy in public. So asking for permission, that's if you're doing a commercial movie. Okay, that's when you need permission, when it's going to be used to make money.
Absolutely, Robin, you're absolutely right. You do need to be selected, but at least show up. And I'm not saying you don't, but just show up. I've never been selected to serve on a jury either. I've gotten so I got past the first phase, and then they said come back after lunch, and then we're gonna see if you get selected. And it was like an all-day process. And it was like, okay, you served your jury duty, go home. So I've never gotten that far either. But when I get a summons, I do show up. And let's see here. Moni said, Donovan, I would love to know, what do you think about the mass shooting that is happening in California today in the Asian community celebrating the Lunar Water Rabbit year? Give me your input on it.
Quick answer. Shootings go on in America all the time. So what's the big deal? I mean, it's a big deal, but it's like, it's so normal now. Does it really matter what the cause of it is? I mean, if anything in California, it would be the cause of the cost of living out here. People are just done. They've just had enough. I mean, they've been pushed to the edge.
Yeah, and Moni, I don't know enough about it to make a comment, so I'd like to look into it before I make a comment. But we know that America has a love affair with guns. There's more guns than there are citizens, and so that's part of the problem. But there's a lot of other things going through people's heads and minds and ideologies and all kind of stuff that goes into somebody doing something like that. So I need to learn a little bit more about it. Robbie said, not everybody wants to be filmed in public just to be other people's video content on social media. I totally agree.
Totally agree. But unfortunately, you're in public. They can do it. All I'm saying is they can do it. I'm not saying if it's right or wrong. It's not a moral issue. The point is, I'm giving you the information. It is legal to do so.
Right. Facts, not feelings. It says that Nguyen Dallas. If it's Michael, click on off, because I want to allow somebody else a chance to come on here. If it's not, stay on there. Because Facts Not Feelings says Fernando Castillo comply. When I get pulled over, I have my camera rolling on recorder going. Just hand them license, registration, and insurance all at once. Keep your mouth shut, even if they are talking. I totally agree. You ain't got to just let them talk first, see what it is that they're doing, and like you said, it is smart to have your camera rolling just in case something happened to you. And I would even say go live on whatever social media platform you have, because let's say they took the camera or whatever, just go live and say, hey, just want you to know that I'm on live. just to protect you and me in case there's any discrepancies that go on with this encounter. So all right, continue type of thing, right? So I think it's wise. Let's see. And Moni says you really don't never have to ask no permission unless it was private setting, like a restroom where people become undressed. Children can be involved. You should always record what is being said to you. That is true. Freddie B, what's going on? He says, I've been selected one time on jury duty. And Dimple Face, how you doing? He says, I'm legally blind. I've always wanted to be on a jury, but they won't let me. Although I have a friend who is a retired judge. He was totally blind while on the bench in Chicago. Wow. And Ella, she says, then you better get you a gun too. And Dark Titan says, everyone should get those button cameras or other things on your clothes. Yep. Like I said, I would just go live. It is already on there, right? And give me 1 second. And let's see here. House Music says it's why they don't teach them. And Robin says Donovan has a law degree. I don't think Donovan has a law degree.
No, I do. I have an associate's in aviation law.
Aviation law.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And Moni says, Demetra, you have to flip the coin. And if you're not doing anything out of place, why would you care if it's not about morals when you won't even obey what the Bible says? Let's alone read the Bible. Oh, sister, I read the Bible. I don't go to church. I don't subscribe to that of Christianity, but I know the Bible fairly well. But as a person in public, yeah, I understand the law that you have no right to privacy. But it sure would be nice if people would not film me and doing whatever I'm doing. I mean, even like when I'm in a gym, that's not really that's more like a private thing. But people are filming and like, I don't want to be a part of your background and you lying about you in here working out when you're not. You know what I mean? And let's see here. Michael says, time for brothers and sisters to visit Rwanda, Nigeria, etc. Joanne says, would always get selected for jury duty, but one case I was selected but dismissed because it involved the stalking and murder. Let's see. Stalking. Where'd it go? And murder was disqualified because of my experience in being stalked. Oh, yeah. And Kiki says, I watched a video of a man who did just that, shut his mouth and said nothing. The cop took it as him being disrespectful. Yeah. I mean, there's just some cops out there that just going to do what they're going to do, right?
Right. But the Fifth Amendment says you have a right to be quiet, to not speak. So like, okay, I'll give you a good example for real quick before we get there. Yes, Don. A cop was investigating something that I was there. He wasn't investigating me, but he was asking me in his investigation what had happened or what I had saw. And I asked him, I said, are you investigating me? I said, are you doing an investigation right now? He said, yeah, what did you see? I said, well, I'm going to use my Fifth Amendment right not to talk for the simple fact that I'm not obligated to help you in your investigation. Simple as that.
Absolutely. And Donnie says, my vehicle is equipped with 4 cameras in my vehicle and I wear 2 body cams. Damn, you ain't playing. Herbert, how are you doing? It says no refugee can save the hireling and slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave. One of several original verses of the national anthem no longer sung in public. Yeah, they don't sing that part, but they were mad at the slave during that particular verse. L Boogie speaks to show how you doing. If I didn't already, says I've been selected to serve on a jury one time. It was a murder case. And Andre, how you doing? Says Christianity without religion. Good evening, D&D. Yes, indeed. And house music says 5th, then 1st, and 4th. All right, let's see here. That new win. How are you doing? If it's Michael, I'm clicking you off. I'm just gonna let you know right off the bat. Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
You tripping? Bye.
Mike, you gotta get different voices like I do. That way you can kind of come into the.
And that was the whispers. I was like, is the Yin Yang twins on here?
Right.
What's really going on?
And for those that want to know, it's 6-6 Dallas Cowboys versus San Francisco 49ers.
What happened?
The score is 6-6 Dallas Cowboys, San Francisco 49ers.
Okay. Andre says most people believe the Second Amendment is the fave of the right, but it's really the Fifth Amendment. Hold on. I was looking at my Constitution because I know what the Fifth Amendment is, but it just slips my mind right now, and I ain't gonna be able to find it this long.
To incriminate yourself.
Okay, yeah, it was I one of those, but anyway, maybe I should look more into that. All right. And Herbert says, let's sell $1 raffle tickets to see who gets the douse them with, wow, gasoline, $1 tickets to see who gets to strike the match, and one to watch the live stream online. I don't know about all of that. Teacher says, sidebar, Demetra, I tagged you on IG about what's going on with happening to Black farmer and his family in Oklahoma. Check that out when you get a chance. Yes, I did. I can't respond to it for whatever reason, but I did like it. And I actually passed it on to Brother Phil because I feel like he is better equipped to handle that story because it does need a lot of attention. So I believe he is going to be taking on that story. So thank you so much for tagging me in it because people do need to know about what's going on. I think it's Colorado, if I'm not mistaken. But thank you so much. Facts Not Feelings says, when my phone records, is locked with the code and recording streams to cloud where a trusted person knows where all of my recordings go in case something happens to me. Yeah.
Send it to the cloud. Send it to the cloud. Don't even have to worry about it. Send it to the cloud.
Yeah, but I'm thinking if I tell you I'm live, then you probably gonna think twice before trying to, choke a sister out or something. I would hope, but Herbert, you own some today. He says all proceeds will go to fund Black law school students who are the spiritual descendants of Johnny Cochran. F out of here. Okay. Consider it says what we're saying is complying could mean something different to them. Out of unarmed men comply. White boys never do, but live. So then what's the alternative? The opposite is not comply, right? So what do you do?
And then you got police officer that has guns, and it's usually a bad outcome. Either way it goes for a Black suspect.
Hello, Pamela. Yes, we heard about that. How you doing this evening? Yeah, we heard about that. I need to actually look a little bit more into it because it is the first that I heard of it today in Tawana. You say, I was once selected to serve on a jury, but the case was immediately settled once the jury was selected. Yeah, I say, I'm looking forward to doing it. Never had a chance, but, hopefully. And our house meeting says first attorney present says fourth, don't touch me illegally, search and seizure. Yeah, so I know that one, but it's like, what if they do touch you? You know what I mean? And I'm not saying they should, trust me. I'm not saying that, but what then what? And Michael says, check your emails. Okay. And then, yes, Colorado, Tisha. And Pamela says, Chinese man killed the people. Yeah, that's probably why you didn't hear a lot about it. Had it been somebody else, then it'd have been all over the news, right? But somebody asked, does the anti-Asian hate crime bill count for that? I would imagine it would, right? But you didn't hear a whole lot about that. Now, had it been one of us, it would have been all over the universe. It's a hate crime. But it was an Asian that did it to Asian people. It's like, do tell. What had happened was, But RIP to those people. You never want to hear about anybody losing their life for any reason, right? And Mona said, the one thing that I love is that when you invest in small body cams and cannot be detected, you pick up a lot of things in life, not just with police, sometimes in your everyday grocery store. Yeah, I mean, I guess, I'm one of those people. I don't be doing all that when I go into the grocery store and stuff. I rarely, like if I go to a concert, I used to like hold my camera, but nowadays I'm like, I'm there in the moment. I want to watch the concert. If the people that I'm gonna send the video to want to be there, they'd have bought a ticket. I'm gonna enjoy it. So I don't do those type of things. I'm just one of those people. I try to exercise a little bit more morals. If I'm gonna film, I'm gonna film myself. There's no need to film. Like even when I take pictures in class, it's rare that somebody else, unless they're just in the background for some reason. But I try my best to cut people out unless they know they're in the picture or something, because I think they have a right to privacy, morally speaking. Let's see here. Mikey says that's why the system will implode. Yep, it is prophesized. And
yeah, I'm totally opposite. If I'm in public, I don't care what your situation is. The bad thing is this: if you don't like being filmed, do not go up to somebody filming you and start an incident. That's the kind of crux of what I'm trying to tell people. If they're going to film you or they're in public, they can do it. It's not worth going up there. If you don't want to be filmed, just ignore it and keep on going.
Yeah, but that to each his own. You don't care that you film other people. Yeah. I mean, I care, because I would want somebody to care that they film me, especially if I had a small child or whatever. I would care. Yeah. I would just utilize that respect enough to care about other people, but to each his own. I can't tell other people what to do. I'm doing well, Pamela. I hope you're having a great day. And the Prince of Paraphernalia, aka Pop, how are you? and considers it's time for us to change our nationality to what? What should we change it to? And House Music says advocate school classes solely about standing up for your rights. You can. Andre says
well, think about it. They really don't want to do that because if you know your rights, you're less likely to do crimes. They don't want to do that. That's why government isn't really taught really seriously in school. They give you a quick little lesson on it, a semester of it, and then you graduate. That's it. All people know about government is you do elections, you know, the senators, you know, the congressmen, you know, the House, you know, the Senate. Do you know what the biggest educator of government is, especially in our generation, Demetra?
What is it?
Remember that Schoolhouse Rock bill? How does the bill get passed? That is, they say technically where most people understand how government works is from that Schoolhouse Rock video.
Oh yeah, those are very educational, especially as a child, right? Let's see. Andre says when the story starts out, what happened was, when story starts out, I think you mean when story starts out with what happened was, or the way my stuff set up, you know, it's gonna be good. You know what I'm saying? House Music says rights should be a subject all through grade school. Yeah, and more importantly, just teach it at home. You know what I mean? Teach it at home so the children will know. Michael said, Demetra and Donovan, your brothers and sisters should consider moving to Virginia, Maryland, Texas, Alabama, Mississippi, etc., to get away from California, New York, New Jersey. Is it Massachusetts or Rhode Island? Yeah. Tawana says there was also a mass shooting at Baton Rouge nightclub with 12 people injured. Did not hear about that either. Money says, you sent me 3 emails last week. Did you get them? I asked you some specific questions, and one was, how do you feel about Deuteronomy 23:2? Donovan, I would love for you to tell me what you think on it. I don't know what Deuteronomy 23:2 is, but if you can put it in the chat, I can give you my opinion on it right here. I don't know what that is exactly. And Mike says, I woke up to this on the news. The Asia shooting has been on the news all day in Southern California, Demetra. Okay. Yeah, I don't have cable or any way to watch the news like CNN or anything like that. All my news, I have to read it or whatever because I just don't have cable. But I am going to look into it as soon as I get off of here because I did not know about that. Applied knowledge. How you doing? It says, if you don't know your rights, you don't have no rights. That is very true. I always say you can't break the rules if you don't know them. You know what I mean? Because I heard that from a wise man. Absolutely. House Music says, can't teach what you don't know. But you know, Google is free. Google is free. The library, you get a card. The card used to be free. I think it was $1 years ago. I don't know how much it is now. But, you know, there's no excuse not to know when there's so many avenues to know, right?
Okay, real quick. Let me give you this. Deuteronomy 23:2. A bastard shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord. Even to his 10th generation shall he not enter into the congregation of the Lord.
What's my opinion on that? So we're talking about a bastard. I'm assuming we're talking about children that are from unwed parents. Is that what we're talking about? Well, in that case, it'll be a lot of pastors. They going straight to hell because they putting a lot of bastards in the congregation with sister so-and-so who ain't their wife. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, that's Old Testament stuff. I don't know really how to feel about that because, I mean, we're talking about marriage and I don't know. I don't know the whole Bible, but where in the Bible does it talk about how you get married and all that other stuff? You know what I mean? And wasn't Jesus a bastard? Was God married to Mary? I ain't trying to be disrespectful. I'm just asking questions.
No, Mary was property.
I'm just saying, it wasn't she underage and all of that. So is Jesus a bastard? I'm just asking questions.
No, because he's God, and God is never be a bastard because God's the most high. You don't talk about God like that. No.
I'm just asking. I'm asking questions because I like to do that, you know. And I'm not calling Jesus a bastard, but per that scripture, if I'm interpreting it right, wouldn't that apply to him as well? I don't know, you know. And he was in a lot of churches
and hung out with a lot of the known sisters out there, the women out there.
right. Hey, Ellis, I'm gonna bring you on just a second. We get down to these comments. Dark Titan says, "Yep, our Schoolhouse Rock taught us everything. Absolutely." Dusty Hotep, how you doing? He says, "I'm only a bill." Yep, that was the name of it. And let me skip down a little bit. Kiki says, "You could tell that they're just taught to target Black people because there are no statistical reasons why police should fear Black people collectively." People, I got two people came on here. I'm gonna put y'all up here. Let me get to the rest of these comments really quick. All right, so let's see here. So Kiki says, Black people do not harm cops in large numbers. Last year, I read 2 cases where cops were called out to homes just to be ambushed. Those people were not Black. Former police officers have confirmed that Black people are targeted all day. And let's see here. And the Prince of Paraphernalia, he says $6. And Mike says, Demetra, the Queen of Riverside, yeah, Inland Empire. Thought I put that out.
No, she is not the queen. Ice-T's ex-wife, Darlene, is the queen. Demetra could be a duchess.
Right. You know, Darlene's a little bit older than me. I met them two at a McDonald's years ago. I was like, oh my God, it's Ice-T. And then, you know, Darlene was there. They was driving a beat up station wagon. But, you know, now we know he's probably driving a lot better. And T-Sean, how you doing? Says Tiffany Cross and Angela Rye was on the Breakfast Club defending Biden. Of course, those are his girls, you know. I was going to say something else, want to be nice. And Andre says, Arkansas is Little Texas with our new governor trying to be a female version of DeSantis. She picked the Florida educational secretary to oversee our education department. Oy vey. Yeah, that's all bad. So anyway, I'm going to put these two brothers on here. Also, Dwayne says, Demetra, that's not the bastard he was talking about. He was talking about the children of the fallen, the hybrid human, aka the Taurus. Okay, well, tell me something. All right, so LS, what you got to say?
You know, I wanted to jump in on what you said about Jesus and him being the bastard and that whole conversation, because I mean, it's really interesting because actually he had 2 fathers. You know, Joseph was his earthly father, but how he was created in the womb was God the Father. So he's not a bastard in that sense, but I do understand why you said it, because I mean he's a child that was conceived before wedlock, not in the sense that he was born, but it was already understood what it was about to be. If you're familiar with the word and what Mary said about be it unto me according to thy will, when Gabriel came to her and let her know that she would carry the seed of the creator. So he's not a bastard. I just wanted to add that.
Okay, I was just asking. You know, I don't know everything. Sometimes I'm a little ignorant to things. No,
it's cool. It's cool. But hey, I just came to that understanding because I firmly believe. I mean, I don't know how it works for other people, but I believe that I know I don't hear a voice when I hear from God. I just have an understanding that I did not have before. And I'm not this super smart guy who got 12 degrees like Michael Eric Dyson and Mark Lamont Shield, who can't, outwit commoners such as myself, who are just the 3rd co-host on Demetra's show, which is all good. So that's all I wanted to add, though.
You're so much more than that, brother. You are so much more than that.
I'm blushing on the inside. Y'all be all right.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Brother Don, what you got to say? Unmute your mic. I unmuted you, but okay.
I had to come on because people are so misguided with what they're saying and stuff. And I don't know if that was a genuine question that the person was asking you or whether it was just a trap. So let's make things clear as it relates to that verse. What they're talking about, you have a modern understanding of it, whoever that person was. The understanding as it related to the children of Yasharel was that you were not to marry outside of the nations. any child that was born between in Ivrium, which is the ancient name of Israelites, any child born to one of them and an outside person was a bastard, otherwise known as a manzer. So when you hear somebody call somebody a manzer, they're saying that they're mixed with something other. They're not pure Yasharel blood. So that's what that means.
Got it. So then the question was more or less, how do I feel about people who create out? So a black person mixing with somebody white, right? Is that the crux of the question?
That, or any other. And actually, as it relates to the children of Yasharel, it can be other black people, like the descendants of Hamite, descendants of Ham.
Okay.
So, so the descendants of Ham, some of the descendants of Seth, because not all the children of Seth were women. Shem. The children of Shem, excuse me. Seth is up there by Adam. Shem. So not all the children of Shem were Yasharel, and then not all the children of Abraham. Not all the children of Abraham were of Yasharel. So you get the Arabs that come from Abraham, from Ishmael.
Okay.
And then even with Jacob, that's not Jacob, excuse me, Isaac. Esau isn't Yasharel. So you got a bunch of melanated people that are not the children of Yasharel. So you could be married to a black person and they could be of another nation, but we're so mixed. The Most High will let those know who belong to him, and those that belong to him are the children of Yasharel. And since he's the Most High, he can wake his children up, which is what you're seeing. But there's a lot of COINTEL going on out there. A lot of what you're seeing is to create a sense of buffoonery, a mixture of buffoonery and danger. See, a lot of these people, they're on the payroll. And it's, why do things get set up a certain way? Yeah, they're on the payroll, but there's things you can look for that point it out. It's just like, man, like my man, like Houseman said, when you know, you know. Yeah, like that. So anyway, I just wanted to clear that up, because we could go on all day about the children and where we are today and what's going on. But yeah, it's somebody that is a product of anyone who is outside of the nation of Yasharel.
Got it. Well, thank you so much. I learned something every day. So thank you, brother, for breaking it down and making it plain. And thank you, Moni, for the question. And so we're going to get out of here unless somebody else wants to come on here. I know Donovan wants to get to his game and his chicken wings and his beer and I don't know, booty.
I've given up the beer. I got a lot of surgeries coming in the next couple of months. So I had to give all that stuff up. But yeah, the Cowboys are down 6-9. 49ers are ahead 9-6.
Absolutely. Jan Michael, he said, I say only one way to find out. Go. Okay. And Joanne, he say, don't feel bad if your dad has not been. If you Israel, you have the best father, the God of Israel. Okay. Andre says no Niners. All right. So anyway, we love and appreciate everybody. Thank y'all so much for being here and coming on the show, the third co-host. We love to hear from you all and hear your voices and see your faces and all of that. It is a pleasure. Donovan and I will be back on Tuesday with our podcast, and of course, Wealth Wednesday with Walter, where we always talk about.
Wait, are we going to do the podcast with the new machine? Are you trying to figure it out still?
Yeah, my daughter's she's setting it up and everything for me. But yes, I'm gonna try with some sound, put my own little sounds in there. I will put one in there just for.
I got 2 jobs, Kendra.
I will put one in there just for you. I don't know what yet. I'm gonna put one in there for you. When you get out of line, I'm like, pow!
Just do the old horn thing. Do 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 do.
No, it's got to be something good. It got to be something good. I don't know what it is yet. It's gonna be something. But anyway, I love y'all. We will see y'all. No doubt. How you doing? So we're gonna get out of here. Love and appreciate y'all. See y'all later. Peace.